at our new signing, Japanese international Kōta Takai. We got the Here We Go. We got the Here We Gold. All we're waiting for now is the statement from Tottenham Hotspur and to see him holding up that shirt. 20 years of age, brought in from Kawasaki Frontale in Japan, and he does look like a really interesting prospect. Front foot defender, aggressive defender, good in the air, good with the ball at his feet as well. I mean, when you read up about him and look into him, it's hard to find a flaw in his game.
And he's got a great name. Yeah. Kōta Takai, what a name. I do love that. Yeah, I mean, if you believe the online Twitter tacticos, he's the second coming of Virgil van Dijk. Yeah. So we'll have to cross our fingers and hope that's all to be true. But for sure, he seems to have unbelievable assets to his game. He seems to be very comfortable on the ball. I think everyone has been rushing to YouTube and Twitter to see a lot of the compilations and the clips of him. He seems unbelievably composed for a player of his age. He seems to be a player who doesn't seem fazed by attackers running at him or being involved in physical duels. And also what I found interesting in a lot of the clips, because I think there's some things you can learn from clips. Obviously you can't take broad kind of takeaways, but I think you can look at clips and notice things. And I definitely noticed he likes to, in a similar vein to Romero, he likes to get in front of the ball a lot. He likes to challenge in that front. He's not a he also seemed to have those Van de Ven qualities where he's sweeping up from passes in behind, but he definitely seems to be anticipating where the pass is going to go and try and get there ahead of the attacker. And he seems to be very aggressive, very front-footed on that front as well. And he seems to be extremely composed on the ball, seems to have good long-range passing on his left foot and his right foot. Apparently can play equally as well, left centre-back or right centre-back, which is interesting. Definitely has good long-range passing from the clips I've seen. A very composed passing as well. So he's definitely a talent. He's definitely a talent. And I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited. He's big. He's strong, good in the air. He scored from a few headers from corners as well. Obviously, the question marks will be, he's physical. He's got big physicality in the J League, but will that physicality stand out when he comes to Premier League? Obviously, those are things we won't know because he's quite physically dominant in the J League, it seems. And whether that will be the same thing in the Premier League, obviously, he's going to have to adjust to that. But in terms of what qualities he's got, what he's got at a young age as well, I can understand why Tottenham are clearly wanted to jump the gun on this one and get him before he really explodes or goes to like a team in Germany or where was he linked with, Germany or Italy, and then probably quadruples or 5 times his value.
I've been reading reports from Japanese people, and they're saying that he's the biggest prospect Japan have ever delivered, which is mad to think
Bigger
about.
than Mitoma.
They're saying, well, I mean, Mitoma's an attacking player, so he's going to stand out a bit more. But they're saying they think this guy is going straight to the very, very top. A record fee that we've paid to the J League.
How much is that? 5 million is a record fee.
It's a record fee from the J League, which is mad to think about.
So what? Brighton paid less than 5 for Mitoma. Must have.
Well, did they bring him in straight from the J League?
I believe so.
You sure? I thought they brought him in from somewhere else.
Was it not the J League? I can't remember. I thought it was.
They brought him in from Union Saint-Gilles from Belgium.
So there's one more step.
He's only on loan there actually.
Yeah.
So they bought him from Kawasaki, same team.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it was the same team. Yeah, that's what I thought. They paid less than 5.
I'm not sure how much. It doesn't say how much they signed him for.
But anyway. But that's 5 million being around. They get a 10%. They bought him for 2.5 million. Someone in the chat says.
I thought it was 5 million with a 10% on top of that as well.
You mean Mitoma's deal or this deal?
Oh, they're 2.5 million.
Yeah,
Mitoma. Yeah. Wow, that is a mad price for Mitoma.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5 million is obviously Kōta Takai's price with a 10 million% sell-on fee as well. If and when we do end up selling him on. But yeah, he's got unbelievable attributes. He's doing unbelievably well for such a young player. Been a constant fixture in the Kawasaki team for the last couple of years. And I was actually watching individual highlights of him from a game in the Asian Champions League.
Semi-final against Al Nassr.
Exactly. That's exactly
Yeah, I was watching that as
I was
well.
watching the individual highlights, and he locked down Cristiano Ronaldo like he wasn't even there.
And to be fair, as I know Ronaldo's 40 and he's not what he used to be, but still, not many 20-year-olds can say that. You know, especially 20-year-olds who've been playing in the J League. So, look, I think there's something to be said about it. He didn't seem fazed by battling against Cristiano. This is a guy who's still doing it at the Nations League level. You know, he's still scoring goals, and he's still, I think he's one of the top goals in the Saudi Arabian League. Look, I know he's not the Cristiano Ronaldo of old, but still, he was playing at that level, and he's still something to be said about it. So, I think this guy there's a reason to be happy about it. I think there's a reason to be excited about it. I really hope he comes in and he gets the appropriate kind of patience from fans, and he's given time to bed in and show what he can do. Obviously, there are question marks about what his role will be in the team. Obviously, we've got 4 centre-backs on the books right now who you would say are probably all ahead of him in theory. I mean, Dragoshin with his injury, but is this also maybe... If we're saying all 4 of these centre backs are staying, which you know they may or may not, is this a kind of indication of Frank maybe wanting to play a back 3?
Potentially, but the way I look at this deal is I actually think he's come in to replace Ben Davies. I think he's come in and he's going to be the understudy to Mickey van der Ven on the left hand side of the back 2, potentially a back 3 as well. He can get minutes on the right-hand side where needs be because that's predominantly his position, but he is just as comfortable from what I heard on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, but he is right-footed but can play with both. So I think he's going to replace Ben Davies, and when you're looking at him coming in for 5 million and potentially Ben Davies going out this summer, which we'll get probably less than that, but if you bring him for 5 million, get rid of Davis for like 3.5 million, I think that's some decent business there.
But that still leaves him as 5th choice.
I think he'll be 2nd choice on the left-hand side.
2nd choice on the left-hand side. Okay, so we're saying what, 3 right-sided?
I think Danso will be back up on the right-hand side, and that leaves Dragoshin. Look, Dragoshin needs to recover fully from his ACL. We don't know when we're going to see him back at his best. So I think there's a question mark around Dragoshin. If we do move to a back 3 at certain times, then that leaves a lot more opportunities to all of them.
One thing I've definitely been a tad when I'm looking at some of his clips is his pace. I'm just a little slow, but he's definitely
fast.
I think for me, he looks fast in the J League. And a lot of the time he's catching up to people, if you've noticed, and he does seem to catch them, right? But he's a lot of the time he's behind play and he's kind of making last ditches, a bit like Van der Ven-esque. But what I've noticed is I think a lot of the times if that was a Premier League striker there who had a lot more pace, I don't think he's catching them.
Can't there be players with pace in the J League? I don't understand.
There can be players with pace in the J League, but compared to the Premier League, it's different kettle of fish. I think when from what I was looking at in his highlights, I think a lot of the times he caught players where I think in the Premier League he might not have. I think.
I don't know about that.
That's the sense
there's
I was
players
getting.
of higher quality in the Premier League, yeah, but in terms of pace, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're saying in the J League in terms of how fast players are. Right?
It's physicality is the whole thing. Premier League is known to be the most physically demanding league in the world. Yeah, physically, but pace is part of physicality as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about when I think about physicality, I'm thinking about like brute strength and stuff like that, which you've got to, that's definitely a case to be said for that.
But you need power to run away from someone as well.
Yeah, that's fine. But in terms of catching up with someone, you don't need power to catch up with someone. You need pace to catch up with someone. And, who's to say that the strikers in the J League don't have that sheer pace? You know what I mean?
But it could be different in the Premier League.
In terms of physicality and strength, yeah, I agree. But in pace, I don't know.
I think pace comes into it as well. I think it's known as the fastest league in the world as well, the Premier League. So look, there's a question mark I have about that. Obviously, he's. I'm not saying he's slow. He doesn't look slow at all. But will there be a pace issue when it comes to playing into the fastest attackers out, in the Premier League? That will obviously be a question mark. You only know really when we see him. But this guy definitely looks like he's got the whole package. He definitely does. But he has the whole package in the J League. That's all we can say because that's all he's played in. You know what I mean? How else can we judge it? Obviously, he's played some international games, only 4. Okay, so maybe we're getting him at a really good time where he's about to really show what he's worth. But I mean, how many times have we? I'm sure every time we scout a player, I'm sure we what do you call it? Every time we scout a player, I'm sure they all look great in their own leagues, and then it's all about proving it in this league. So it's hard to get too excited about it, if you know what I mean.
It's a massive step up. It's a massive step up, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a seamless transition where he comes in straight away. First game, he looks like an unbelievable centre-back. It's going to take a transition period. Of course it is. But with the attributes that he has, he's giving himself a really good shot in terms of making it, because when you're looking at him at 20 years of age, yes, we're comparing him to J-League players and players in the Japanese league. And by the way, the Japanese league is not exactly the poorest league in the world. It's one of the best leagues in that part of the world, as Ange Postecoglou like to keep telling us. So when you're comparing him to players in that league, he looks very dominant in terms of his physicality. Yes, comparing him to players in that league and comparing him to players, it's a different ball game completely. But he's definitely, got a good start behind him. And if he can come here, bulk up a bit more, and keep going and keep building his strength, I think he can make it here. Yeah,
he has to be given time to develop. He needs to get the game time, and I'm hoping he can. I'm sure a lot of players who we've signed, we've also had the same hope. I'm not saying he's in that category. Maybe he's better than all of them. I'm sure he's a top talent. There's a lot to be excited about him, for sure. A lot to be excited about him. But all I would say is, all these people saying, look at this, look at that, look how good he is, right? You just have to temper your expectations straight away, because it's going to be a massive difference and it's going to take a lot of adjusting to. But yeah, I'm confident he can. There's a few. Also, one thing I really like about what I've seen is he definitely likes to use both feet when he's dribbling his way out of trouble, and he definitely has a lot of composure when he's on the ball. And for someone of his age, that's very, very impressive. And there are moves I look at him when he gets to the ball, he's under pressure, and he moves it from one foot to the other foot and just gets his way out of trouble. I like that a lot. That's something that he's clearly got, because a lot of defenders aren't confident enough to do that kind of stuff.
Agreed. I would say as well, his sliding tackles just seem to be on point. He's really got that down to a T, and obviously that goes down to massively in terms of timing. But when the game is a lot more faster paced, like in the Premier League, I think that might take a bit of an initial adjustment period, and he might get a few wrong early doors, and it might put us in a bit of trouble. But once he gets up to speed with the pace of the game in England, that could also be a really valuable asset for us.
Do you think this is part of the succession planning past Romero, do you think? Not necessarily for him to leave this summer, but long term?
I hope not. And look, there needs to be some sort of succession planning, but if you're going to sell a World Cup winner, leader in the squad, to bring in a 20-year-old Japanese player that no one really heard of last week, however good he can be in the future, I would say that's a really bad move, to be honest. If we're going to sell Romero, we need to bring in another big centre-back.
But I'm not saying this summer. Let's say next he has a year development and he's looking like the next best thing. Then all of a sudden with Romero, it's not like you can sell him and then you've got him to step in rather than having to look for someone, I guess maybe is the feeling behind it.
Depends how quickly he can get to that level, because whatever level Romero's at right now, you'd probably say Kōta Takai, it seems unfeasible to see him get to that level the next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd find it hard, but I mean, it'd be very impressed if he can do that. There's some kind of graphs and stats we've got to show you as well. This is his heat map for Kawasaki this season, and as you can see how he by the way, they're an 8th place team in Japan, so not one of the top teams, but look how confident he is in terms of look how much time he spends and how many touches he has to the opposition half. Even the center circle, very kind of
Romero-esque.
Yeah, he's clearly very comfortable having the ball higher up the pitch in the center circle, making those full passes. He's kind of has a lot of coverage in his own half as well. Look quite a bit to the left, but obviously mostly to the right. A lot of time even, spent kind of in fullback areas, you can see, kind of near in the right back areas, a lot of time spent there as well. But I think, yeah, you can see that's kind of obviously clearly likes to pick up the ball probably from the goalkeeper a lot because he spends quite a bit of time in the penalty box. But yeah, I think clearly very comfortable on the ball. I think he has one of the most touches for a centre back in the J League, and you can see how comfortable he is in like the forward positions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, back to the conversation that we were talking about before. I mean, Johan Lang with these kind of young players, like, just take Lucas Bergvall for example. He came in straight from the Swedish league, and now he's like a constant fixture in our team, one of the first names of our team sheet.
Absolutely.
Second half of the season, and some would say the J League's got more quality than the Swedish league. So everyone that's kind of laughing this signing out the door, just look back at Lucas Bergvall and the talent ID we had with him. So just because he's a young player coming from an unknown league doesn't mean automatically he won't be able to play in the Premier League next season.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, but let's look at the next bunch of stats that we have.
Yeah, so this is kind of how he compares against like the centre backs in the J League last season. This is actually in the Champions League, actually in the what do you call it, the AFC Asian Champions League? Is that what it's called? So actually, they had a pretty good record in that competition. Only 8. This is in 9 games, 8 goals conceded, 4 clean sheets. He played every game. Really good, like number of interceptions, which is for a centre back quite impressive because usually they have a lot more people protecting them, and it's a bit of a risk if they come and try and intercept a ball. You have to try and get it because obviously you're going to be left behind before.
That goes on to what you were saying about stepping in front of your attacker.
Yeah, exactly. Ground duels won. What's quite interesting is the number of ground duels is low, but ground duels won is high. So he's very effective with his when he goes in for a ground duel, he ends up winning it usually. Aerial duels won, clearly aerially dominant in that league. Dribble past is not the best, which means I think this is so his total. So per 90 is. So it's only kind of once every other game, but it's above average, but it's not the best. Obviously, clearances, you can see he's got unbelievable timing for clearances. You can see that in a lot of his clips, like the way he reads the flight of the cross and the way he reads where the pass is going to go. Shots block is good. No penalties given away, which is obviously really good. So like really encouraging numbers there from him in the Champions League.
Never given away a penalty.
Not in the Champions League.
Not in the Champions League.
Not in the Champions
League.
But
yeah, I feel like that might change in the Premier League because when you see how aggressive he is and how he likes to slide in, you probably suspect, like I said before, it'll take a bit of an adjustment period early on in terms of coming to a much faster paced league. Yeah,
exactly. So I think, we'll see how those stats kind of translate to the Premier League. Obviously, this is how he compares to other centre backs in the Europe, kind of just for his pure numbers. Obviously, again, this is the J League, but again, gets a lot of touches on the ball, does score quite a few goals, but aerial duels as well, really good numbers, and that's for a 20-year-old. Obviously, we also have another aerial monster in Vuskovic, who's a bit younger, but obviously he's doing it in the Belgian league. But once they're both fit and ready to play Premier League together, well, I don't think we're ever going to concede a corner from a corner again. I'm hoping that'll be good.
5 years' time, and let's hope maybe a bit longer. When Van der Ven moves on, you got a back two of Vuskovic and Kōta Takai, the future of centre backs in European football.
And then you got Phillips, Dragoshin, Dan. So it's mad the talent we have at centre back now with this guy coming in. We have probably the envy of a lot of teams in Europe in the Premier League.
Let's hope it translates onto the pitch in terms of goals conceded.
Yeah, let's hope so. So that's quite interesting. I think, is there another graph we have? No, maybe. Oh yeah, so this is from Stats Bomb. So this is against. I think this is against. What is it against? Other J League defenders. So you can see here. This is quite interesting. There's a stat called defensive action on the ball value, which means how often a defensive action gets you into an attacking position or like towards goal, like in a dangerous way. Not necessarily a chance, but it gets you towards goal a bit more. That's on the ball value, and he's quite high for that, which means a lot of his kind of defensive actions a lot of the time lead to dangerous situations. Obviously his it says here the block shots, that which is really high. Aerial ability is really good. Passing, this is quite interesting. Being pressured, change in pass percentage, which means how often he changes his pass when being pressured, is quite decent as well. I'm trying to work out what exactly that means, but means how often he's forced to change what he's going to do because he's being pressured, and I guess it's not as often as other players. So that's pretty good. And obviously you can see the percentiles on the right hand side there. Aerial percentage really good. On the ball value is really positive, but the big ones are defensive actions, block shots, dribble past. Tackles or dribble pass percentage. So that's suggesting is actually quite good compared to the other one, which was suggesting wasn't that good. Oh, because this is against in the league compared to the Champions League. And defensive action on the ball value really good. So he's clearly got really good eye for a pass when it comes to passing the ball forward. I think he was first for passing into the final third in the J League as well. So that's also really good. Had one more graph. This was from Data MB again, and this is against I think centre backs in the other 5 leagues. As you see, forward pass percentage, progressive passes, dual percentage, defensive actions, aerials, and passes, all superb. Ball carrying maybe not as much, clearly, so he doesn't tend to want to bring the ball forward himself. He seems to want to pass his way out of trouble. But yeah, other than that, really strong showing in the stats.
And Frank will like that, passing his way out of trouble, playing out from the back. A lot of time, we have heart attacks when we're trying to play out of the back, and hopefully he can progress that even more. But that is what you need to know about Kōta Takai. We're going to try and bring on a fan that knows a lot more about him, that seems to watch him week in, week out, and we can delve even deeper into our new signings. So all we're waiting for now is the statement from Spurs and to see him holding up that Spurs shirt. Surely it's going to come any minute now, today or tomorrow.
Yep, we'll have to wait. It could be very, very soon. Any moment it's going to happen.
I like the way these transfers just come out of nowhere. It's kind of like a throwback.
Yeah, again, Lang working in the shadows.
Yeah, but it really is like a throwback, like when we only just saw it. I know you're not sitting on the website with holding up the shirt, but there's no like rumors building up to it, and then
hadn't heard of this guy.
Like this is going on for weeks. Like this one was just bang straight out the blue. This guy signed. Here we go. Bing, bang, bomb.
Agreed. And I think Odebel was the last one we had it like this. I like it as well. It's much better than the Romano. We know every little stage of the deal. I can't stand it. I much prefer this kind of we only hear of one thing, because it adds excitement to the window again, which I think has been lost quite a bit.
Yeah, agreed. So that is that with Kōta Takai. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding the signing.